trying to get more of our committee members here tonight with the nice weather and nothing to vote on. I guess people made a choice, or they're coming later, one or the other, so we'll see. This is the Community Board 9 Land Use ULURP meeting. We meet generally every Tuesday, every second Tuesday of the month, generally. And we have a relatively limited agenda. The Brooklyn Public Library is going to talk about the renovation plan. And then after that, we're going to have an ongoing discussion in the community about downzoning. And we'll just kind of talk about that for a bit. And then that's it. So we should be out of here within maybe 90 minutes or so at the outset, at the longest. The only new bit of information, committee members, is that the Fenimore Street Block Association has finished their pre-application. And so we're looking to meet, the subcommittee is going to meet next Wednesday. Once the location, we'll send a note out next Wednesday to make sure that they're doing what they did, and then we'll submit it to the plan. Okay? So, for those of you who haven't been to this meeting before, the way committee meetings work, it's a meeting amongst the committee members, and it's a discussion, and the community, the non-members are witnesses to what's going on. But generally with our meetings, after the meeting, if there's time at the end of the meeting, which there generally always is, we always welcome dialogue from non-committee members. Okay? So we have our meeting, and then we go from there. So Brooklyn Public Library folks are here, so that you know who you're talking to. Committee members that are here, can you stand up, please? Those two gentlemen in the back of the committee as well. Warren, raise your hand. Tim, raise your hand, please.
One,
Tim?
two,
Yeah.
three,
Okay, Tim.
4, 5.
And then there are a couple more people coming over, okay, from across the street. All right? So, excuse me? That's unnecessary.
Be happy that you know
we have David Wallach, who's going to present. You going to kick it off?
I think my colleague, Brett Robinson, will get us started.
David Wallach, who is, runs government affairs and marketing for the library. And Brett Robinson is kind of the COO. I'm not even sure what your title is. But a lot of things fall under Brett, including facilities. So he's overseeing the overall renovation of the library, which is a pretty exciting project. So take it away. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having us here. I'm Brett Robinson, the Vice President for Finance and Administration, which is a lot of work. As Michael points out, capital construction is one of the things that falls under me. Joined actually by a number of folks here from the library. Maybe just take a moment to start with Jesse and introduce yourself for that.
Could you speak up a little bit, because we can't hear you?
Sure.
Because
Jesse Montero, Director of Central Library.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christine Schoner, I'm the Assistant Director of the Central Library.
John Mackey, Vice President.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
John Mackey, Vice President, Capital Planning. Hi, Mike Spillman, and John.
All right. And Landon is here joining us from the architecture firm. We're going to hear from Landon in a little bit.
Hi, Landon Brown from Toshico Martin.
So thank you. We're really excited about this project. We're excited to talk to you about it, and maybe thought we'd start with a little bit about the Central Library itself. So it opened in 1941. Brooklyn Public Library has been around for over 115 years at this point, but the Central Library opened to the public in 1941. Was landmarked in the late 90s. It gets a lot of traffic. We have over 1.3 million visits every year. And we do a lot of events there. We have over 4,000 programs a year. That's everything from story time all the way up through some of our classic concerts that happen in our auditorium and anything in between. It is far and away the largest of the buildings in our portfolio. Brooklyn Public Library has 59 branch libraries, occupying about 1.1 million square feet. About a third of that is at the Central Library. So it's a big building.
Are you talking about the Grand Army Plaza Library?
Excuse me, Brett.
I just need to be clear. Are you talking about the Grand Army Plaza Library?
Present.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, as I said earlier, this is a committee meeting. And the committee members are the ones who should be asking questions. If you have questions, can you please hit it later?
Well, he's talking about, this is a community, and I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question about what he's talking about. It's community board,
For the
thank
benefit of
you.
the committee members, I am speaking about the Grand Army Plaza Library.
Excuse me, Brett.
Are we talking about the Grand Army Plaza Library, sir? That's all I'm asking. Are we, yes or no?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to read something to you.
You can get ahead and read it all you want to.
This is,
You can get ahead and read it all you want
ladies and
to.
gentlemen who haven't been here.
You can read it all you want to.
I sued the community board and said, what are the things?
Yes, and I sued the community board, and I'm asking a question. There's nothing in that article that says I cannot ask a question.
Her First Amendment rights.
You know I can
So the
really hear
judge, excuse me.
Yeah, no, she can say whatever, that's right, that's right. No, excuse me, you can say whatever you want to say, Liburd, but we have the right to ask questions. We are all part of the community. We are all part of the community. I asked a simple question. What is he talking about? That's all I asked. We don't know what Central Library means. Is that the library at the Grand Army Plaza, or is that the one in Manhattan? That's all I'm asking. Go ahead and call them. Call the police. We know the police are cop killers, black people killers. So call them.
So
We know that they're killers. Call them. Call them. You go right on ahead and call them. We have a right to ask questions. We have the right to ask questions. No, we don't want to listen to you, Liburd. We would like to sit there and ask a question, Liburd. We would like to ask a question. We would like to ask a question. We would like to ask a question. We are participating. We are demanding participation. We are demanding participation. This is a community board. We're demanding participation. We are demanding participation.
Wow. That's a democracy.
Wait, can we wait?
What I'm saying to you is that.
What? Then we wait. Yeah, okay, right. There's a quarter. Okay, then come and have it.
So, please, take it.
Is it, like I asked, is it the Grand Army Plaza Library? Is it the Grand Army Plaza Library? Which library are you talking about? Which library? Which library?
If you will stop talking, the man will continue speaking.
We have over 1.3 million visits to our Grand Army Plaza location.
Thank you. Wow.
Representing the Brooklyn Public Library. These are 4 other branches in our system that are the next 4 highest visiting branches. You can see far and away Central gets the highest usage in our system. Next slide, please, Mr. Waller. It's also, because of its size, the place where we have more of our specialized service offerings. So we have our information commons, which offers a range of different kinds of technology services to the creative community, the entrepreneurial community. We have an adult learning center. We serve over 66,000 adult learners a year in this location. We have an auditorium that seats approximately 200 people. We have large format events in that auditorium. And we also have one of our only, in fact the only, archival collection, our Brooklyn collection, which is a number of assets that we've taken in over the years, actually through conversations with folks like yourselves. We have scanning days where we take some of your memorabilia and historic sort of things from your family, and we'll scan them for you, and we'll also intake them into the Brooklyn collection so people can search that information later. A number of other kinds of specialty services like IDNYC, passport office, and that very large computer library. But it's a building that has challenges. It opened in 1941. It hasn't seen much sort of comprehensive improvement since that time. We've done a few things here and there, but it's been a little disjointed. And what we're looking to do within this plan is really think holistically about the building, think about it in its totality rather than a set of small fixes, and really give it a comprehensive overhaul. Let's see, next slide. But, you know, it's been hard to do. We have a lot of libraries, they all need a lot of work. Altogether, we have about $240 million worth of maintenance needs in our branches throughout the system. we've made some headway on that in the last couple of years. We've actually dropped that number down from 300 million a couple of years ago. So we're making headway, but we don't have a whole lot of money to put towards it. We get about $15 million from the city every year. This slide talks a little bit about the work we've done in the branches. Each one of these dots that is in one of these colors, yellow, red, blue, or green, is a site where we're doing something comprehensive to the building. There's something going on in every dot on this map. Some of them is just, it's a roof job or it's a boiler fix. But over a third of our system within the next 5 years will be entirely rebuilt, which we're proud of that headway. And it's time, we think, to turn our attention to the central library, which, as I mentioned, hasn't seen a comprehensive investment in a long time. So we put together a 4-phase plan. Each one of these phases is self-contained. The idea is we want to do all 4 phases of work, and we're fundraising for all 4 phases of work. But if it comes to the point where we're only able to do 2 of 4, we've done something to improve the building and we haven't left anything hanging. Next slide. So this is a little bit about the phases of work. We are funded for the first phase, and we are kicking off that work actually next Monday. John, is that right? On the plaza out front. It's going to take about 2 years altogether, and when we're done, we'll have done a lot of work to the infrastructure of the building, and we'll have added 4 new spaces to the building. So the first is a popular library. The idea is we wanted to really pull the library experience forward. I don't know how many of you have been in the Central Library. Great, excellent, thank you. As you walk in the front door, you see a lot of transactional services. You see our safety office, you see the IDMYC office, you see our passport office. It doesn't really feel much like the library until you walk a little further into the building. You start to see the checkout desks. We want to pull that whole experience forward, and part of that is repositioning our popular library, which today is a lot of magazines and it's a lot of audiobooks. We want to reformat it, refashion it to be more book-focused and move it to the first floor right in the front of the building. So this is going to be, just as you walk in the front door, you're going to see the popular library off to the right. We're really excited about that change. We're bringing our Business and Career Center to the Central Library. It's going to be on the mezzanine. It's going to occupy the space right above our information commons, which I mentioned is sort of a technology-rich space. This is also imagined to be a very collaborative working space, technology-rich space. The two are going to work together. This is where a lot of our career-focused programming is going to happen. Help you develop a business plan to start your new business, or to help you with a resume workshop if you're looking to get back into the marketplace. A couple of other fun things that we're going to be introducing. We're going to be organizing that whole front experience around what we're calling the Major Owens Welcome Center. Major Owens, you may know. Remember, Major Owens was a congressman. He was also, before that, a librarian in the Central Library. So we thought it was a fitting place to honor him. And so we will have moved much of our checkout and check-in, our information experience to the very front of the building, and that's going to be named for Major Owens. And we're also going to be introducing, in the back of the building, a civic commons. And so our transactional services will move back there, like the passport office, like IDMYC. We would also see it as a space where groups can gather and have discussions. It could be a committee meeting of a community board that looks to sort of book that space to have a discussion or a meeting. It's where we hope to put a lot of get out the vote information on election season, flu information as we dip into flu season, and really make it an experience that we don't really have in the building today. Next slide. So first phase of work is funded. We're starting that work next week. It's going to take about 2 years. Our goal is to move seamlessly into this next phase of work. This is phase 2 of the project. We're going to be introducing more new kinds of spaces to the building. A teen space, which we don't have. We have a small sort of nook in our ground floor that services teens today, but we know it's a population that we could do better with. And we know they don't really love being next to their little siblings in the children's wing. So we're going to put this on the second floor. We're going to dedicate about half a wing to that space. And this is a concept. We're going to be working with teams in the community to really gauge what they want to see in a space like this, and really build it around their interests. We're also going to be expanding our adult learning center. I mentioned we serve about 60,000 adults every year in that center, and we know that there's more need and there's more work we could be doing with this community. And so we want to roughly double the space that we're putting towards adult learning, and tailor it, custom build it for the kind of learning experiences that are happening today. There'll be more infrastructure improvements. The first phase, we're going to take care of elevators. We're going to take care of HVAC systems. There's more of that needs to happen, but is less sort of immediately time critical. Those are things that we are positioning for phase 2. And we're going to be consolidating all of our staff spaces. So today, as you walk through the stacks of the library, you may hear behind those stacks that there are some employees who are diligently working away. We don't think that's great for the employees. We don't think it's great for our patrons either. So the goal here is to get all of our employees in one place, give them a better working environment, and that will free up more space for the public in the public service areas. Phases 3 and 4 are a little more aspirational. So these first 2 phases really about the building as it exists today, reorganizing it a bit, improving the flow, inserting a few new ideas, but really it's the footprint that exists today. Phase 3, we're looking to dramatically increase the amount of public space that's available. And we're going to do that by taking we have 4 floors that are below ground today. And they're a little underutilized. We feel like we could open those up to the public. And the way we're going to do that, we're going to pull 1 floor out, we're going to create a double height space, and we're going to add 60,000 square feet of public space to the building. This is a concept. We want to spend a lot of time working with our community to understand. We know more public space is a good thing. How exactly should we use it? And so that'll be an ongoing discussion that we have with you and with other community groups that are strong patrons of ours. And the 4th phase, this is the one that usually gets the oohs and ahs, is the outdoors, right? So phase 3, dramatically open up the interior. Phase 4, dramatically open up the exterior. So if you've ever been to the back of the library, maybe you were lost or you pulled into the parking lot accidentally, this is the parking lot today. Behind the library is Mount Prospect Park, and our goal is to connect those 2 things. To put the parking lot underneath really to deck over the parking lot, and to create a walkable path between the library and Mount Prospect Park behind the library. And that's exciting for lots of reasons. I think it will improve just the urban experience in this part of town. It'll create some interesting places for us to do programming as well.
Prospect Park is across Flatbush Avenue. That's a garden.
Yeah.
Mount Prospect Park is behind it.
It's that.
It's
technically a separate park.
It's a little park. It's that little park with the playground.
That's right.
All right, so that's phase 4. So we have $35 million in hand today. That's enough to do phase 1. We're excited about that. We are working with some government partners. We're also undertaking a fundraising campaign, foundations and philanthropists, to raise another $100 million to do phases 2, 3, and 4. And we're getting some good traction on that so far, but we don't have it yet. So we're going to start in a week on phase 1. We're going to spend the next 18 months or so raising the money so we can move seamlessly from phase 1 to phase 2. All right, so what comes next? Okay, so I don't know if, Michael, I'm happy to open things up for questions. I'm also happy to save that for the end if that's better, if the committee members have questions.
Well, would you let the committee and the community know what you're asking for today?
Okay, so there's two reasons we're here. The first is that we want to talk to everybody we can about this project because we're very excited about it. The second reason is a little more technical. One of the aspects of this project is introducing a door to an area that is a book processing area today, but that we want to turn over to the public. We think the door will help that effort. And the building is landmarks, so we have to go to the Landmarks Commission in order to get approval for that. And in order for landmarks to want to grant that approval, they want to hear from the community board that they are supportive of that change. So we have 5 or 6 slides here that are a little more focused on that question of a door, and whether a door is a good idea or not. And I have a couple of larger scale images here for anybody who might want to walk up and take a look after the presentation. So I'm happy to just zip into the more technical side of things. I'm happy to answer questions.
Committee members, any questions from the floor? Committee members? Committee members only right now, please.
Lord have mercy.
Phases 1, I know the costs. 2, 3, and 4, what's the individual cost?
Yeah, so we're benchmarking at about $30 million a phase, $30 to $35 million a phase. As we get deeper into the development of the design, right now it's a set of concepts. We'll be able to put more exact costs on each phase, but we expect them each to be about 2 years and each to cost about 30 to 35.
Any other committee members, questions? Yes, ma'am, in front.
The front door,
Yes.
that's landmark, right? You're not going to get rid of that
No.
beautiful, amazing front door?
No. The door we're talking about is in the rear of the building. So this area here today is a technical processing center. In the 90s, it's where we process books. We do all of that off-site today, which really gives us an opportunity to rethink how we use that space. So the Civic Commons I described, it's an exciting new space for us, and it's going to be in the rear of the building here. And what we'd like to do is open a doorway right on Flatbush so that people who are looking to use that service can walk right in and use it. You know, it's fine for them to travel through the library to get there too, but we want to give people options. Sure. Ed, you want to hop up here and...
Excuse me, I have a question. My hand's raised.
I'm going to allow the chair to dictate.
I have a question. I'm raising my hand.
Excuse me.
I'm raising
Two more
my
questions, we're going to move on. Yes and yes.
Yes.
I read in an article, unfortunately, we didn't know that you were coming because the community was not notified of your presentation. Because if we had been notified, we would have been able to do more of our due diligence as far as investigating this whole situation. But I do know that I did read an article, it did come past my desk, where there's a lot of controversy about this, especially the Major Owens aspect. His son came out in public and basically downed this project and using his father's name in the name of this project. And so I wanted to find out what was your response to that, because there is controversy over his name being used. Are you aware of that controversy? And what is the response of the Book and Botanic Gardens regarding that controversy? Oh, the library, sorry. The garden is on my mind.
I think Mr. Owens is supportive of the project.
His son.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. His son. Chris Owens is supportive.
No, I have it that he came out.
Question and answer. Next, sir, your question, please.
Yeah.
Oh, so you want me to produce the document to you? What is
Sir,
your
your
email
question,
so I
please?
can go ahead and produce the document?
Sir, your question, please.
He said he's gonna let her finish.
I
Sir,
mean-
you can ask your question?
I'm asking him, you're saying that he put it in writing that he was supporting this project? Okay, this is, okay.
You can ask me one.
Just,
So my question, sir, is about proposed development of 960 Franklin Avenue. There's a potential 40-story residential tower going there, so how would that tower and the shadows cast from that potentially cast over on this expanded part of the library, and how would that affect the park, over the parking lot specifically?
So, I guess I'm not aware of a development project on Franklin Avenue. We're not changing the footprint of our library at all, if that's your question. Presumably the tower that's going up will do a shadow study. Again, that's not it's not our line of
we
work.
got him on tape.
But you want to make an easement so that the people from the library can both enjoy the library as well as the park, correct?
So we're going to have to, in order to open a space between the library and the park, we'll have to talk to the Parks Department, obviously, about that. This is our property line here, so we go all the way up to the front of the park. The concept is we would just move into, people can move seamlessly between the library and the park.
Just had a question,
Yes.
more design question to you. Where you're putting parking below and covering it to go into the park. And this is a design question. Cars are becoming less prevalent as we go through society. I guess, is that space being designed so it can be used as for audiences, depending on?
Well, it's currently just staff parking, so we would be maintaining it as such. So
Today, but as you build it out,
as we build it out, it would still be maintained as staff parking.
It will be underneath this, this decking.
agreed, because
Yeah.
I'm asking if I see like where you build parking, you build it enough height that it could be reused if that variable changes.
Well, the height really is level with the current second floor of the library, so we're not adding any levels. It's just
So basically something you can convert it in the future.
Yeah.
it's business.
Our
decision.
intention is still to use the below area as a parking lot. And we have, for example, our IT team, our technology team, they send cars around to all 60 of our libraries to repair routers and fix monitors. That requires equipment that goes in the trunk of cars. And so, for the foreseeable future, we imagine that business model won't change dramatically. It certainly is, something to keep thinking about, though, as technology evolves, and maybe we'll get drones to deliver that stuff in the future. We won't need the parking lot anymore.
Listen, hold on, we're gonna take one more question and come back, so please, then we'll come back to
All
it.
right, you said that the whole phase of the construction is gonna take like 2 years?
That's correct.
All right, now, in the meanwhile, what about the flow of traffic on Flatbush and Eastern Parkway? It's already congested, so like, what are you gonna do about that?
Yeah. So it's a great question. The project, as we take it through all the phases of work, we're going to maintain access to the building throughout. So at no point in this project will we be closing the central library. There'll be parts of it that are off limits as we're working on it. Obviously, it wouldn't be safe for the public to be in areas that are under active construction, but the whole of the building will remain open throughout. In terms of how people move up and down the sidewalk, during the construction, we'll be staging the construction in a way that allows free passage. I can't make it any less congested than it is today, but it won't be any more
I'm
congested
talking about
than
the
it is today.
traffic. for
Yeah, there's not going to be impact on.
There won't be any impact to the
vehicles.
vehicular traffic.
I apologize if I might have missed what you said, but the money that you mentioned, the $35 million for phase 1 and the $100 million, is that for only the central library or the central library and all the renovations to the branch library?
No, that is just for the central library.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have other capital funding that is being spent in branches.
Could you tell us how much is allocated to the branch library renovations?
Altogether, in the city's 4-year capital plan, it's something like $400 million. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head.
Okay. So the $35 million will be basically for interior renovations for a central?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, and that covers the first phase of work. We need about another $100 million to take care of phases 2 through 4.
Okay, and then I don't know if you want to take questions now about the new plans and the usage of the space or wait till later, because it's not really a venue.
Happy to answer.
Good. Why don't we put a few questions for now and then
Okay.
come back at the end?
Sure. So do you want to just take a little bit about the door?
Yeah, just wanted to dwell on the Civic Commons part of the project for a moment, just because it's the only part of the interior renovation project that actually does impact the exterior of the building. As Rick mentioned, we are doing some facade renovations here to introduce a new public entry to, hopefully bring some more pedestrian traffic down this side of the building on Flatbush Avenue, along with some new windows to bring daylight into the new office and other public spaces that are planned inside. So the space itself, again, the Civic Commons space, is adding about 6,000 square feet of new public program area. The overall goal of this part of the project was to really provide sort of a more coherent home for what is today, I think, a disparate set of partners, sort of external partners, but which are an important part of the library's sort of transactional services, namely passport services, IDNYC. We're planning a new computer center, a public computer center in this space, along with some space for partners to be determined. That could be a special partner that comes to provide tax advice around tax time or around flu season, like Brett was saying. Overall, what we've envisioned it is a place to bring together civic services in a kind of common space that can also double as a community meeting space. Yeah, sure. This is the concept rendering for the interior that we've proposed.
I'll just hold this up. This is just a bigger version of that.
As I mentioned, it's a large-ish open space with perimeter offices, again, to house IDNYC, passport services, and other partners. We're also locating some security functions back here as well. But overall, we're really just trying to provide a new identity and a new opportunity for public service space in a part of the building that otherwise was just back of house space. And on the exterior, really didn't have much of an identity. If you want to go ahead one more. So the current, this is the current corner or end of the Flatbush Avenue wing, which just as a little history, this was actually an original part of the building from the 30s, which I lovingly refer to as the World War II bunker part of the building. An addition was added to the upper stories a bit later. At present, it's really a kind of nondescript end of the building, and in particular at night, it actually is a little scary, to be honest. So part of the reason that we thought it would be useful and productive to add new windows and an entry is to really just provide a new identity to this part of the building. So you want to just go to the end of. So in particular, we thought we would show this at night, just because, like I said, we're really trying to add a new energy and vibrancy and identity to this part of the building that people just frankly don't ever go to. So announcing a new public program or set of programs in public space, we thought would be a great opportunity to articulate that a bit on the exterior of the building.
Yeah. I'm just trying to begin to visualize where you are. I know that there's there's an exit if you go to that auditorium that's downstairs and you come
On the other side.
This is the mirror image of that. That's on Eastern Parkway. This is on Flatbush.
Okay.
This is the Flatbush.
Exit on the Flatbush side. Okay.
There are doors on either side of the building.
Right, so I'm thinking of that Flatbush side. Is this door that you're talking about in that same vicinity?
No, the entry point that you're speaking about that goes to the Dweck Center is here. We're doing that work here.
Oh, are there two entrances to the Dweck Center?
There's an entry,
one there and
there
then
are original entries, but there's one on this side and then one right here where you can see that path. I'm not sure this one is used very often, if at all.
The one that you can exit from that is further down.
More of an egress path.
Right.
Yeah.